So you made a comment earlier about basically, it reminded me of a comment that Richard Branson told a friend of mine. He's basically said, you just leave the building. You start a business and then you just leave the building, both figuratively and metaphorically, like you'll just leave the building. So you're kind of talking about that and the things that you've built. So dive into that a little bit more, like the not being the expert, you know what you're good at and know what you're not good at. So how do you get good at just leaving the building?
But it goes back to what the other thing I said was hiring the right people. If you have trust in the people that you have there, you trust that they know what they're doing. You trust that they know the job well, and understand. I hired people that knew the industry, and I hired people that were, they understood it. So for me, it's easy to be able to do that when you've turned it over to the right person. I mean, I know that sounds a little cliche, but it really is. You got that right person in the seat, which says you can walk away with confidence. And I don't know that I've ever, there's probably certain things, maybe something going on that, certain projects or something, you may feel like, okay, I got to, stick my toe in this. If I do, it's always going to be a development project. I will tell you that. It's never going to be an operational project. But yeah, find the right people, put them in place, let them go. You're going to get more done. I would say one of the biggest compliments I've had. So, my son, Micah, works with me, as you've met Micah, and his longtime friend, Jay. They grew up together. They started in high school, they started a lawn mowing business. And when we first started Restoration One, they were the guys out doing the development, not development. I was doing development. They were doing operations. And he calls me one day, I think we're out of town, and he says, hey, and he called me Gary. It was Gary from, 8 to 5. After that, it was Dad. But he says, hey, what, we've got this situation. We don't know what to do about it. He had on speakerphone, and I paused for a minute. I said, guys, figure it out. You know what? Figure it out. You're smart. You're intelligent. That's what I hired you for. And he will still tell that story today. That he said, they hung up, and of course they panicked, but then they said, okay, let's figure it out. One of my favorite scenes, I think it's in Apollo 13, where they're stuck and they're trying to figure out how's he going to get back. And so they all get together and they come up and they bring in a box, and that box has all the things that is actually on the capsule. How do we take these things and make what he needs? Well, it's the same thing. When you get pushed in a corner, you're going to have to figure it out. And after Micah, he read my book. He said, hey, I started reading it last night. I couldn't put it down. I read it, and he said, I knew all these things went on, and I knew about them. I had no clue to the extent of them, had no clue to the extent of how they, change your life, which in turn changed their life. So, walk away if you got the right people. If you don't, you're going to have to be thinking about it.